So I just posted a couple videos about an impending housing market crash and why that's not going to happen based on the numbers. And one of the graphics I showed was the home equity in the nation, around the nation. And this shows that there are a lot of people with a lot of equity in their home and maybe don't know it. And it leads to what is dovetailed into my win for the week, a debt consolidation loan. And if you don't hock your house to the gills, you can utilize equity to pay off some bad debt. And let me show you what I am talking about. I'll get a client's information and I'll ask them, what they're trying to pay off. And so they had a mortgage, the remaining balance, and I'm not going to use their real names. I'm going to protect the innocent. So let's just say this is George and Emil Klunig, and the interest rate on their mortgage rate 3.875. Student loan was at 8.51. Interest rate about 3.5, and then a car loan that was 9.598. And that interest rate was 2.99. So then I just calculate these to find out what the blended rate is. And this will tell me total loan amount and blended rate. So if I can refinance them, pay off those debts, and the rate is under 3.883, then they're going to be in a better position. So the second part of that, what I'll do with the client is I'll just go in to my debt consolidation calculator, and I'm going to load the Clooney's and just show you exactly what I did. Their address, what their original sale price was when they bought it. They don't escrow their taxes and insurance. They pay them on their own, which is fine and normal for people who've owned several houses. If you have a certain credit score, it infers that you're good stewards of your money and you can pay it on your own. Why pay us to do it for you? They bought the home in 2016, January. And I have an estimated home value of 607. Now, that house is probably worth $675,000. But I try to be conservative with the numbers. And if I can get it in between like a 70 and 80% loan to value, usually there'll be an appraisal waiver, which is the only upfront cost on the refinance. So if you get an appraisal waiver, you're not out of pocket any money up front. So I entered those numbers. They continue, and this is what their original loan amount was, their original interest rate, 3.875, what the remaining balance was, and what their monthly payment is, $1,876. That's just principal and interest. As I said, they pay their escrows on their own. And then it asked for the debts. Now, I've already filled in that student loan and automobile that I was talking about. And then I go down and come up with a proposed refinance, which when I did the math, they had a 760 credit score. The lender was giving a bonus for that kind of a credit score. So I was able to drop them from a 3.875 to a 2.75 interest rate, which, that's more than a point lower than, or it's a point lower than where they were. More than a point lower than where they were. That's not always the case. Oftentimes it's pretty close, or maybe an eighth better, maybe an eighth higher. And then I put in a closing cost. Now, to get that 2.75, we did the math. That's another video. I'll show you how I do that with whether points are worth it or not. But they paid 2 points to get that 2.75, and it did make sense for them. And then I hit calculate, and what I came up with is by paying off the mortgage during the rate term and paying off the student loan, paying off the car, their monthly savings was $1,200, which is a huge number, big number. And if that borrower is maybe old school and they want to pay their mortgage off as soon as possible because they see their house as a place to rest their head, then I show them this. And the savings applied towards principal. If you took that savings and just threw it towards principal of your mortgage, you could pay your mortgage off in 14 years, 3 months, which saves you 10 and a half years in interest payments and an increase of 194. Now, those are legit, real numbers, and those are kind of life altering. Imagine having an extra $1,200 a month in your pocket to do with it what you want. Now, the Clooney's that I was working with, that wasn't their goal, and that'll be another video that you'll have to wait to see on equity management and what you can do with that $1,200. But if you're thinking of refinancing or you needed to pay off some debts, I can do this formula for you. And if it doesn't make sense, it'll tell me. In this case, obviously it made a lot of sense. And I was able to, once I showed them this, they submitted their application on a Friday. 3 days later, or 3 business days later, I had a clear to close. And we closed them in 10 days. So that, and because I had put them in a sweet spot of a 70 loan to value, they didn't have an appraisal. It was waived because they had so much equity in their home that it wasn't necessary. So that saved the really only upfront fee that anybody has on a refinance is paying that appraisal. So they didn't have an appraisal. We turned it around in 10 days, which a lot of the times you'll hear that refinances take 45 days. We did this in 10 and saved $1,200. So this is the fun part of my job, and this is why I say I put out these videos, because you know that you're hearing from the media the sky is falling and people are doing all these cash outs and it's like 2006 all over again. Just go back and look at the 2 videos I did on that, and you'll see that it's just not the same as it was in 2000. People are a lot smarter. So that's all I got. If you'd like me to do one of these evaluations for you, you can always reach out to me, B. Allen at helpmeba.com, or 814-777-0757. All the best.